Welcome to the second part of inlay cards, and in this video I'm going to show you how to use shortcut slot to create a multicolour inlay. Now obviously if you're just doing a two colour inlay, with this example it's really easy. All you would do is put that over your card base and you would make sure that it's on the front so you could actually see where you're positioning it. And you would just select that and then cut it, and it would be straightforward. But if you're planning on doing more than one colour or two colour inlay, it's slightly more complicated than that, because you can't just put, for example, if I move this back over here, you can't just put this on top of this, because then you're going to cut bits of your letters out and so on, and it's not going to work. So the way of doing this, and it's really quite easy to do, is you choose the bit that you want to be in front, and that is the bit that you put onto your backing last. So you start from the back of the image to the front. So if we want the star to be in the background, all we would do is we would put that onto our base. Then we would select, oh hang on, it's moved it to the back for some reason. I'm just going to arrange, arrange, ooh, there we go, send to the back. I want the blue background in the back there. So this is now on the front of the blue background. And I'm going to take this one and I'm going to put that wherever I happen to want it, like so, on the top. Then I'm going to select all of them. And I'm going to go to Effects and I'm going to go to Knockout. And I don't want a gap. Switch the preview on and it will show what you end up with. There we go. And whoops, it's put the star in front. Okay, let's cancel that one. For some strange reason it didn't put this in the front. Right, let's grab that and go to Arrange, Bring to the front. Now move that over and select it all. Go to the Effects, go to the Knockout, and fingers crossed it should do it the way that I intended it to do it in the first place. Yay, there we go. So you can see if we take the colour out of this so it doesn't confuse issues, remove the colour. If I zoom into this, okay, you can see that the letters are complete and the bit that is being cut is the star behind, which is what we want, because we want those letters to be whole. We don't want those chopped into bits. But we want the star to be positioned behind it so that, well, it's positioned on the same level, but it looks as though it's been put behind it, put it that way, when it's all slotted together. So that is the basics of how it is done. I'm going to put this back to fit to window, and I'm going to go to the previous page on here to show you something else. Now, I've done this with the design that I used in the video this morning. Now, what I've done here is I've multiplied it by 3 and put it onto an A4 mat. Now, the reason for doing this is that it is a lot easier to slot all these pieces together if you keep them on the mat until you need them. But that's going to be difficult to do unless you've got multiples of mats. And for those that don't have multiples of mats or a really big mat that it can all be squeezed on, this is how to proceed. What you need to do is to, for example, position them on the mat so they've got room between them. And what you're going to do is to cut them so that you have the different colours. So for example, that one might be silver, that one might be pink, that one might be blue, whatever it is. You need to be able to position stuff so that you can cut every last piece on the mat. Now, if you're not comfortable in positioning pieces of card and knowing that you've got them in the right place, and then going to the cutter and using WYSIWYG to cut things out, there is another alternative. If we remove that and put it to one side, if you put your first piece of card, your first colour, on the bottom right hand corner of your mat, and you just use the normal setting to cut it, which in most cases is the origin point, you would obviously cut that out where it is, pretty much. Okay, because that is being positioned more or less at the bottom right corner. Now you can, of course, make sure that it is grouped, and then make sure it is on the bottom right corner. And when you set your origin there, that's exactly where it's going to cut. So you then cut your very first piece. Okay, when it is cut, leave everything that is in this corner on the mat. Don't move it, just take away the excess card which is in this area. Okay, leave that where it is. Then on the machine, move your origin point to there, that corner there, and put in your next piece of card exactly in that position, and then go to repeat. And because the origin has now been set to that point, it will cut in this area. When you've done that one, take all the spare card away from that and put your next piece of card butting up to this one and move the origin point to down there. And in that way, you will have all your pieces of card on one mat and nothing has been moved. And you can take your pieces one at a time off the mat and you won't lose bits and pieces. Some, in this particular design, there are a couple of tiny little pieces which invariably stick to the mat and don't come off when you pull them, and you virtually have to go around with a magnifying glass to try and find them. But there's one there, and I think if I remember rightly, the other one is something like round there where the top of the V is. But in that particular case, I mean, it does barely show, but being a perfectionist, it does irritate me if I don't pick them up. So then you will have all your different cuts, and literally you can swap them out. Now, the way to swap them out is to take out the biggest piece of card, the outer piece first, put it on your desk to work with, and then take the pieces out of the others that you need to fill. I have definitely found that the easiest way of filling this is from the back, because you can then put some tape onto the back. When you slot them in jigsaw puzzle style, just put a little bit of tape on the back to hold them. And then you can either put double-sided sticky tape over the entire lot, or you can use glue or whatever to either put it onto your background or to put a piece behind it if you are doing it a different way, slightly different way. You can put a smaller piece of card behind it. If you're not going to cut out all your pieces in one go, then the other way of doing this is to take your piece of card. Now pretend this is your full-size card, and you can actually put your cut on the front of there. And then all you do is you take another piece of card, you make it slightly smaller than that. So you would just go down a couple of notches on here, and you can stick that behind your front panel. But that means obviously that you can't, if you've got a mat with the card on that size, you can't do your 3 cuts in one. And you basically do need one cut for each colour. You can do it in pieces if you only want to make the one card, but again, it's your choice as to how you try and do it. It just makes it a lot easier if you do the 3 in the one go. And yeah, but obviously it means you get more cards out of it at the end of the day. So whichever way you decide to do it, it's a fun thing to do, and the results are really quite pretty. In fact, I will load a video in a couple of minutes that shows the results of a couple that I've actually done that came out rather nicely, and you can see the design finished. I will post a link to this particular file so you will get it regardless if you want it, but don't leave it too long before downloading it, because I don't tend to keep files in my Dropbox for too long. Okay, thanks very much for watching. Take care now. Bye bye.